Last two lectures on Dhyana Karma Sanyasa Yoga and Karma Sanyasa Yoga were delivered from Fiji ashram. I hope you got to hear that. I'm trying to keep up with the pace of your learning, but I'm falling short of it because of continuous travels and meetings and programs. So though you all are in the 8th chapter, I believe, but I'm still in the 6th chapter. Each chapter of Bhagavad Gita opens another layer of wisdom. And Bhagavad Gita has been designed in such a way that Sri Krishna Paramatma, being the best teacher that one can ever get to teach spirituality, reveals chapter by chapter finer nuances of spirituality and does it so very logically, methodically, and in the question and answer format, which is the most useful and most easy to understand format for all aspirants of spirituality. One-way discourses, upadeshas, pravachanas do not make as much as impact as a two-way conversation. So Bhagavad Gita is a dialogue between the disciple and the master. But the disciple can stop the master at any point in time. Arjuna uvacha, and then he starts off his question. And Sri Krishna, with all his patience that only divine can exhibit, answers the question again and again and again, and this goes on for all the 18 chapters, where Krishna is always ready to answer the questions and doubts of the disciple Arjuna. For a teacher, the happiest thing is to find the right kind of disciple, because all cannot be disciples, all cannot be students just by getting an admission into the institute. But those who are eager to learn, Shraddhavan, Satyadhriti, as Yama calls Nachiketa, who would take nothing in exchange of the highest wisdom. They do not want to trade this opportunity with any lesser blessing than to attain the highest wisdom of self-realization. Such students are rare to find, and when found, they are teacher's delight. So like Yama tells Nachiketa, I am lucky to have found a student like you who was so resolute in knowing the truth. And Nachiketa in turn praises Yama, that I have found a teacher like you, nobody else can teach me. He says, Na narena avarena prokta esha suvigneyo bahudha chintyamanaha, because this topic has been explained by so many people in so many ways. It has been understood and taught in so many ways. Nobody knows which is the best way to learn this knowledge. And so anybody else who has not experienced this knowledge, if he explains the knowledge, it will never be the same as you, O Yama. Because you, when you speak about it, it goes straight into our hearts. Because you are the source of all the knowledge. And that is the kind of teacher Arjuna has found in Krishna. And look at Krishna's patience. Arjuna and Krishna were known to each other for a very long time. But Krishna did not decide to reveal this knowledge until this day of the battle, when Arjuna was completely ready to listen to what Krishna was saying. Because the situation was such. When doctors, our Reddy has just retired, he will tell us, when he tells people about preventive medicine, nobody listens. When they get into trouble, then they listen to whatever doctor says. When the doctor tells the patient, see, eat like this, don't eat that, don't have these habits, maintain your health, maintain your habits, do yogasana, do exercises, nobody listens. Only when they get into trouble and they need immediate intervention from the doctor, then they are able to listen to whatever doctor is saying, and they are more serious about it. Isn't it? That is what has happened even in COVID times when things were spreading. Wear mask, do this, do that, social distance, sanitizers, nobody was willing to listen. When they got COVID, then they realized how important it is. So in our lives also, unless situations come like that, the teacher's teaching does not make sense to us. Only when the situation is right, the disciple is ripe, and then he's ready to accept what the teacher is going to say, that's when the teacher must speak. So we have gone through the sannyasa yoga, karma sannyasa yoga, we have gone through it, where Krishna dispels the doubt of Arjuna that truly there are no two different things like karma yoga and sannyasa yoga. In fact, the one who is established in the highest self, whatever he does, he is unattached to that work, and therefore he does not renounce the work. Instead, he renounces the idea of doership and enjoyership. That is the idea of all the 3 chapters of Karma Yoga, Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga, and Karma Sannyasa Yoga. It finally comes to the conclusion that the one who has established himself in the knowledge of the self, such a person is never bound by the action because he does not think he is the doer or the enjoyer. As Ashtavakra says, na kartasi na bhoktasi mukta evasi sarvada. He is always free. Mundaka Upanishad explains the idea of such a Brahmagyani who knows the self, yet he is busy doing actions in the world. Prano hi esha sarvabhutair vibhati vijanan vidwan bhavate nati vadi atma krida atmaratih kriyavan esha brahmavidam varishtaha, it says. The one who knows that is only one prana, one self, one God who exists in all the things around me, in everything, me and everybody else. Such a person, once he knows, becomes a man of few words, because he is absorbed in that depth of silence that comes out of wisdom. Mostly it's only the people who do not have enough wisdom that they talk a lot. Those who are wise, they are generally silent. And that is the way of these people of wisdom. They generally are silent, they talk less and do more. So what they do, Atma Krida, Atmarati Kriyavan. They're always enjoying their self as the Atman. When they open their eyes and look around, they see the same Atman reflecting in all, so they enjoy that also. At the same time, they are completely aware that not everybody is in this state of wisdom, so they need little help every now and then, and so they are continuously busy serving the society. Among the Brahmavidas, knowers of Brahman, such are the best of the Brahmavidas. There are many Brahmavidas. They sit in the caves, they give upanyasas, they only engage themselves in certain ritualistic worships or encourage prayers and certain observances which are more ritualistic. But very few Brahmavidas are there who will go out in the society and work for the society and improve the society and help people live better lives. So that is the idea of the entire Karma Yoga. Do your actions, do it perfectly without attachment to the results, and also with the knowledge that you are not the doer nor the enjoyer. It is the self, it is that same Supreme God who does everything through all of us. That one God expresses through all of us, and in that knowledge we become free of ego and attachments. So that is the idea of the Karma Sannyasa Yoga at the end. Now from there, in the last chapter, if you remember, Krishna had mentioned a little bit about Dhyana Yoga. Now, Krishna is a very subtle teacher. He leaves hints here and there for what's coming next. I also do like that. I also open a topic slowly and close it quickly and let that go into the mind of people who are sitting over here. And then slowly after a few weeks, I will start the topic again. I allow people to digest what I have said. Same thing Krishna. He opens Dhyana Yoga because he clearly says, between people who follow the path of self-enquiry, like the sages of the yore, and those who have to work in the society like Arjuna in the present times, I need people who work in the society with detachment. That is better path, he says. So he encourages Arjuna to work. At the same time, he says that to attain jnana, you must purify yourself through work only. Sitting idly, we cannot purify ourselves. You all know, if you sit for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, first few minutes will go well. After that, all kinds of thoughts start coming in. So we cannot purify ourselves by sitting idle and meditating. We have to first do action in the society. So the first 5 chapters are all about action in the society. You must work. What kind of work? Selfless work, which purifies you, makes you selfless. All the impurity in our life is our selfishness only, nothing, no other impurity. Anything born out of selfishness is impure. This is the idea of earlier chapters. So now he says that it is not enough if you are pure, your mind is pure, your mind should also be steady. That steadiness of mind is also important to attain jnana. Because at the end, we all want to realize the self. That is the ultimate purpose of all our lives, we all know. But as Shankaracharya told very clearly, karmani chitya shuddhyartham ekagriyartham upasana mokshartham brahma vidyayam iti vedanta dindima. For purification of mind, karma is important, that is karma yoga. For stability of mind, you need upasana, that is meditation, contemplation. And for ultimate realization of the self, it is only the knowledge, path of knowledge, self-inquiry is important. But is Arjuna capable of doing the self-enquiry yet? No, because he's still attached to his ideas of doership and enjoyership. So Krishna says, you do things for the sake of doing, don't get attached, purify your mind, that is the first step. A pure mind is easy to control and stabilize. See, a lake is there. If the lake is dirty, you cannot see your reflection. If the lake becomes clean, yet it remains unsteady, the waters are unsteady, even then you cannot see your reflection. So cleaning the lake is like karma yoga, do selfless action. And steadying the lake is the upasana, that is Dhyana Yoga, which is coming up now. So he tells Arjuna, I will take you step by step. As I said, first few chapters are about karma, karma yoga. Next few chapters are about dhyana, upasana, bhakti. And final few chapters are completely devoted to the idea of wisdom. This is how Bhagavad Gita has more or less broadly classified. They keep overlapping, but that is the broader theme. So if I have to tell you, before in the previous chapter, he did mention about the Dhyana Yoga when he said, in the 27th and 28th shlokas of the previous chapter, he says, Parshan kritva bahir bahyansh chakshushaiva vantare bhruvoh pranapanav samau kritva nasya bhyantara charinau. He says that the yogi, a dhyana yogi, what does he do? The one who is meditating, he takes all his, he cuts off his connection with the external objects. That is like seeing this, tasting that, smelling that. He decides to withdraw, like how? Like a tortoise withdraws its limbs. And then what he does, he steadies his breath in his nose, both the outgoing and ingoing breath. In a systematic, steady, methodical way, he breathes and even holds the breath, because breath and mind are connected. Breath is like wind, mind is like fire. So the more wind, more fire. So if you control your breath, you can control the mind. And therefore, it is important to practice pranayama. So he slightly mentions that such a person who is a yogi, who believes in this kind of a path, he controls his breath, steadies his breath in the nostrils, and meditates between the two eyebrows, what we call as third eye. There, or Agnya Chakra, he meditates there, and in that state, he remains all the time. And what else he does? He says, Yatendriya Mano Buddhi Muni Moksha Parayanaha. He has, by his effort, controlled his mind, controlled his buddhi, because he wants to attain moksha. He wants to attain freedom from the senses and the sense objects. And vigatecha bhaya krodho yah sada mukta eva saha. And what happens to him? He is free from all desires. Also krodha and fear. Ichha bhaya krodha. If you have ichha only, you have either bhaya or krodha. Ichha means desire. That will lead to either the fear, whether the desire will get fulfilled or not, and anger when the desire does not get fulfilled. So these are things that he has gotten rid of. Why does he work in the world? Moksha parayanaha, for the sake of attaining the highest knowledge. So this is the idea. In the previous chapter, Krishna opens the topic that how a yogi meditates, keeps his breath in control, cuts off from the external sense objects, and then meditates on the place between the two eyebrows. In fact, behind the Agnya Chakra, there is something called a pineal gland in the middle of the two lobes of the brain. They say that is the seat of intuition. Still, a lot of research is going on, but very little has been spoken about the pineal gland. But that is the place which most of the yogis talk about, that is the place where the seat of intuition sits. And when you meditate here, a current flows till the pineal gland back of your head, and that's what opens up many other sensory perceptions. You see things, you hear things, you experience things beyond what is available to your physical eyes. So these yogis get to know about the past, present and future through such kind of things. But that is only the part of it. The real thing is when you meditate there, it also opens your intuition to realize that you truly are divine and not just the body and mind. That is the final stage. As you climb the mountain, at different levels you will see different views. But at the summit, you see a 360-degree view. So the true opening of third eye is when you see that complete view of oneness of divinity. Till then, you may get many experiences. Many people get stuck. That's why Dhyana Yoga is quite a complicated and sticky or a slippery chapter. Many people want to get into Dhyana. Why? Can I know what is going to happen next month? What examination questions are going to come? Or what am I going to become when I grow up in life? This is not the reason why you should do Dhyana Yoga. There are siddhis available, but this is not the reason. You should do it so that you realize that you are divine. That is the ultimate purpose. All the things on the way is not required. Ramakrishna Paramsa would always discourage people who are getting into this kind of siddhis. He would laugh at them. And once it so happened that a man came walking on the river and wanted to show off to Ramakrishna Paramhansa that with all my yoga siddhis, I can walk on water. So he made and announced his presence. I am here. Did you see I walked on the river and came? Ramakrishna Paramhansa said, is it so? How many years did it take for you to learn that? He said it took 20 years or 25 years of practice of all the yoga so that I could walk on water. He said, 25 years you wasted. You could have given 25 paisa to the boatman. He would have brought you this side. What a waste of your 25 years. So that is the idea of the jnanis. But these yogis, they get stuck here and there. So that's why before itself, I am giving you a warning, caution. Enter with caution. At your own risk. Dhyana Yoga is getting a little more complicated than the simple Karma Sannyasa Yoga. So okay, let us see what is there. I'll quickly try to cover. So first sloka, Dhyana Yoga, chapter 6, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, Krishna says, Anashritah karma phalam karyam karma karoti yaha sa sanyasi cha yogi cha na niragnir na cha akriya. This is continuation of the previous chapter. What kind of sannyasi or what kind of yogi should you be? He says, Anashritaha, he is not dependent on anybody because he has no desire. When you have desire, you have to bend in front of people. If you are desireless, who can control you? Ashtavakra says, Nirvasano niralambha swachanda mukta bandhanaha kshiptah samskaravatena cheshtate shushka parnavat. The one who has no dependencies on anybody because he has no desires. Such a person is free. Who can control such a person? He moves around in the society like a dry leaf that floats in the wind, without being forced by himself or anybody else. So being desireless makes you free. Freedom comes from desirelessness. That is the idea. He says, Anashrita karma phalam. He is not attached to the results of the actions. He does the action, but he is free from the attachment to results and yet keeps doing the action. That person is true sannyasi. Sannyasi does not mean you wear ochre robe and go to Himalayas, shave off your head, leave your wife home and feel good about it. No, you should feel bad about it. Sannyasis are those who have truly detached themselves from the results of the action, not the action. They should perform action, but they have detached themselves from the results. So he is a true sannyasi, and he is a true yogi, Krishna says, who is working yet not attached to the results, and he is not dependent because he has no desires. That person is true sannyasi and yogi, not the one who have those who don't light fire. Light fire for two reasons: one, to perform yajnas; two, for cooking their food. Those sannyasis who give up lighting fire, they are not true sannyasis, because sannyasis are not allowed to have a kitchen. They are supposed to beg and eat for depend on society or God. And akriyaha, they don't do any work. That sannyasi is not a true sannyasi. Sri Krishna is saying very clearly over here. For all those who think you can take a nice, lazy, easy life of a sannyasi. You don't have to cook and you demand from society, feed me. Otherwise, I'll give one curse. That doesn't work, Krishna says. To me, true sannyasi is the one who has detached himself from the result of the action, not the action per se. Then he goes on to say, Yam sannyasam prahu yogam tam vidhi pandava nahi sannyasta sankalpo yogi bhavati kachna. Nobody becomes a yogi by not giving up the desires or thoughts in one's mind. Just by giving up outer action, nobody becomes a yogi. Till you purify yourself and remove the last vestige of desires from your mind, you are not a true yogi, Krishna says. So he says actually sannyasa and yoga are same in that way. Because you can't become a yogi unless you are a sannyasi. Means you are completely detached. See, you can't become a husband unless you are a man. You can't become a mother unless you are a woman. So is mother different from woman? Is man different from husband? In a way, yes. In a way, no. Because unless he is a man, he can't be a husband. Unless he is a woman, he cannot be a wife or a mother. So unless you have developed this idea of sannyasa, detaching guna sannyasa, detaching from the results and enjoyership and doership, you can't become a yogi. Now what is yogi? Let us define this word. Yoga means union. What is the union? Union with the divine is yoga. But in our scripture, yoga is defined at different levels. At a very basic level, it says yoga karmasu kaushalam. We learnt about it in the second chapter. Do your action with perfection, you are a yogi, karma yogi. Then it says, no, yoga's chittavritti nirodha, Patanjali will come and say. That is not enough. Your mind should be under control. Patanjali Yoga Sutra. That is yoga, if you can control your vagaries of mind. That is what Dhyana Yoga will be talking about. That is the second level of yoga. But that is also not complete. Another yoga is samatvam yoga uchyate. The total equanimity in life is yoga, where you are not disturbed by the bad and good that happens to you or around you. You are always equanimous. That is the highest. So that kind of yoga we are looking at. That is what Krishna is going to teach us, but he says the prerequisite is you should be selfish. You should not be selfish, you should be selfless. Don't be doer, don't be enjoyer. Then you come and start this practice of Dhyana Yoga. But to do that, you have to perfect your Karma Yoga part. Isn't it? Unless you know Karma Yoga, you cannot get into Dhyana Yoga, Upasana Kanda. That is what this thing says. And he says, these people who are working like this, Aru rukshor muner yogam karma karana muchyate yogarudas tasyaiva shama karana muchyate. Those who are beginners on the path of this yoga, Dhyana Yoga, for them karma, detached work is the way to start. So don't jump into your, some yoga meditation session all of a sudden. Today I wake up and today I'll become a yogi. Why? Because I'm going to meditate for 20 minutes. No, you don't become yogi like that. You may become a rogi. At the end, you may come out some mental issues. And then doctors will have to treat you. But yogis have to prepare themselves to do yoga. What is the preparation? For the beginners in yoga, upasana or dhyana kanda, they have to start with practicing detachment from the objects, sense objects, actions and their results. That is the prerequisite. So, Aru Rukshaha, the beginners, should follow the path of karma first and purify themselves. And Yoga Rudha, those who have become completely established in the yoga, their way is of Shama. Shama means of complete cessation of mind's vagaries. Their mind is in their control. I always tell, should dog be under your control or you should be under the control of your dog when you take it for a walk? Dog should be listening to you. You shouldn't be listening to dog. Like dog wagging the tail or tail wagging the dog, the question is. So mind controls or you control the mind is the question. Mind is an instrument. Like a car, I say. You want to go out, you should be deciding, I want to take the car out, whichever road I want to go and wherever I want to reach and come back whenever I want. The car does not decide. I will go and take you here, I will drop you there. The car cannot decide. Likewise, mind is an instrument we should have control on. So the people who are established in yoga, they are completely in control of their mind. Mind means all their emotions, all their intelligence, all their discrimination, decision making, attachments, ideas, all this is mind. Mind is a very complex thing. It's an antakarna, we call it. It has manas, chitta, buddhi, ahankara. Those who don't know about it, please go back to the Paravidya lessons of the last year or go through Master the Mind. So you have chitta, which is your memories. You have buddhi, which is your intelligence to discriminate and decide. You have manas, which is a combination of all these. And you have ahankara, which is the ego identity with the body or a form. All these together is the mind. So this yogi is completely in control of all these things. So that is the yoga stage. And then he says how these yogis are. Yadahi nendriyartheshu na karmasvanusajjate sarva sankalpa sanyasi yoga rudus tadochate. Real yogis are those who don't work to please their senses. How much you should eat is not decided by what kitchen has sent today to the hostel. I want to please my tongue, therefore I eat. No, I eat because I must sustain this body so that I can do some good work. And then karma svanusajjate. They are not attached to their actions also. They are doing for the sake of doing. There is the duty to be done, so they are doing. Either they are attached to the positive result or negative result. A doctor must operate. Sometimes patient may be saved, sometimes patient is not saved. So doctor does not incur sin as long as the doctor has done everything in his capacity. So sarva sankalpa sanyasi, all kinds of thoughts they have given up. Good thought, bad thought, ugly thought, pure thought. There is no thought at all. They are just being driven by their intuition. I said animals are driven by instincts. Animals, instincts are there. Ahara nidra bhaya maitunam cha samanyam etat pashubir naranam. Animals and men have these instincts in common. What? Ahara, food, red rice, white rice, green rice, black rice and all that. Ahara should be good, tongue should be happy. Health and all we'll see later. Anyway, hospital has come up next door. That too free. So we'll utilize it. So ahara, then nidra, sleep comes. Nidra, when it comes, nobody can stop. Animals sleep off on their time, wake up in their time. Students also sleep perfectly on time. Start a math class, sleep comes. Paravidya also. So nidra is under not our control. Instinctively it comes and takes over, sweeps us off our feet. Bhaya, fear. When do mistake, look at you can't sleep. Or you have not studied enough for the exam, you can't sleep. Or your results are out tomorrow, you can't sleep. Bhaya. And maithuna, as you grow up, you need to have your partner and you want to grow in life, you want to enjoy the pleasures. So these are all instincts. Animals live by instinct. Humans live by intelligence, I say. What is intelligence? You'll be able to discrete dharma, dharmo, karya, akarya. You should be able to differentiate between what is good, what is not good, and then decide and do things. That is given to human beings. Most of the human beings use their intelligence well. But divine beings work through intuition. For them, there is nothing like I want to do this or I have thought about it. It may come through their mouths, but they don't call themselves as the speakers. That's why I keep announcing projects and somebody says, how do you come up with these new ideas? One day Sri Srinivas himself was surprised. He's saying, how do you come up with new ideas like this? I don't come up with any idea. Let me tell you, I just come as I come. Ideas come from elsewhere. I just allow it to express itself without diluting it or without obstructing it. When the divine wants to speak, uses my mouth. That is how I think of it. So how big is the idea, whether it will succeed or fail, whether I'll get good name or bad name? I never have calculated all these things. Whether we'll be able to achieve or we will fail doing it, I don't think about it. I only do what is needed to be done today as divinely ordained. And that is why I can sleep off, I can wake up again and do another thing. And those who think they are the doers or enjoyers, they suffer. They can't get sleep, they can't eat properly, they suffer. I don't suffer all these kind of ideas. So that is the idea of these people. They are not working for their indriyas, nor they are working for their karma or actions or duties. They are completely given up all the sense of thinking. They are driven by the intuition. It's a state which you will reach as you keep progressing spiritually. Uddhared atman atmanam atmanam avsadayed atmano hi atmano bandhu atmai vripur atmana. This is very important shloka of 5th shloka. It says, you alone are your friend and you alone are your enemy. It depends on you whether you help yourself to raise yourself or you make yourself fall down because of your own problems. Don't blame on others. I did not study well because this fellow was always troubling me and disturbing me. You find a way to go out and study if you really want to study. Don't blame others for your miseries. Similarly, don't blame others for anything that goes wrong in your life. Try to look at where I can improve. And then you improve. There's no point in complaining about others. I was mentioning to somebody I met just now, I said, in life, if you think something has gone wrong, there is nothing called a mistake in life. There are only lessons in life. Use it as a lesson and move forward. You learned this is the way it should not be done. That's a lesson again. You are more knowledgeable than before. If you take a wrong turn, you know this is not the road which goes to this place. You have learned at least a lesson that this is not going to that. So, uddhared atman atmanam. Students must take this very seriously, because many students say, I'm not capable of this, I'm not able to do, I need this help, nobody is helping me, my friends are troubling me, teachers are not cooperating. Yes, this could be a problem, but at the end, much of this lies in your hand, what you do with yourself. You should push yourself to become a better version every single day than what you were yesterday. Are you any better than yesterday? Then, if not, then all that you have eaten, learned, lived is a waste. Because you have not improved from the previous day, you are the same, you are stagnated in life. So you have to help yourself. You are your own enemy. When bad thoughts come, negative thoughts come, selfish thoughts come, it is you who has to decide to discard them. Nobody is going to come and tell you. So you are your own friend, your enemy. Dharmaraja was his own enemy when he did not consult Krishna before going for the game of dice. Had he consulted, Krishna would have advised him not to go, but he thought, I'm a king, I must gamble and play dice like rich people want to go for horse racing and all kinds of gambling. They think it's a pleasure, it's a status symbol. So you are your own friend, you are your own enemy. This is very important shloka. And it says, those who have made friendship with their mind, for them the mind becomes a great friend. For those who have not developed friendship with the mind becomes a big enemy. Manayava manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayo, says Amrita Bindu Upanishad. It says very clearly, your mind is the reason for your happiness and sadness. Don't blame it on others. It's very easy to blame it. Don't do that. Deeply analyze, you will realize you are the reason for your own misery. You are only the reason for your own happiness. Don't blame it on others. That is the biggest lesson you should learn from this chapter. And then it goes to say how these yogis are who have developed this friendship with the mind, who are in complete control of their mind. Jitatmana prashantasya paramatma samahitaha shitoshna sukha dukkeshu tatha manapamanayoho. These are the people, for them you praise them, you blame them, it doesn't matter to them. For them, heat and cold, in the sense good things and bad things, both they treat in the same way. And they jitatmana, they've conquered this sense of mind, which always wants pleasurable things and avoids the painful things. They have conquered these ideas of repulsion or attraction. They are just steady. Whatever comes their way, they are okay, because they are paramatma samahitaha. Their mind is completely absorbed in God. Mirabai, her husband sends a poison, cup of poison. She says Krishna Arpanam and drinks of the poison also. She is not affected at all. How is it possible? Idea is that their mind is so absorbed. There's a story of Vrindavan. A new gopi comes to the Vrindavan, Neeraja her name was, and every day there's a tradition to go and take the flame from the lamp of Nanda's house. It's a tradition in the village, to village headman's house. Today we have matchsticks or electricity, but then there is a rule. All the people will go, take their lamp and light it with the flame of the Nanda, the king or the headman of the village house. So when she goes, she hears there is a Krishna here who is very beautiful. And she goes there to light the lamp, to put the wick into the flame, and she sees Krishna and she loses herself. Her mind gets absorbed in Krishna's charm. So much so that she actually puts her finger instead of the wick. And what happens? Her finger starts burning. Then Yashoda realizes there is some odd smell coming, as if some flesh is burning. Then she goes and removes the Neeraja's hand. Because she had transcended her body and mind in the absorption in the Krishna consciousness. See, these yogis live like this. We have heard of Ramana Maharshi in the recent times. As a young boy of 14, he goes to Arunachala and he lives in a small basement of the temple. And for how many days he sits like that? And there is insects and worms eating away his flesh. And when the insect falls off, he puts it back on the flesh and says, "Eat, my child, eat." Now, how many of us can do that? Because they have transcended the sense of body and mind. Their mind has got absorbed in the Brahman. So this is first Krishna is setting the standard. When you do Dhyana Yoga, this is all you should be able to achieve. So first Krishna is telling this is what you will attain. Then he will explain how to attain. Finally he will summarize that this is what is the final result. So he says this is what you will become if you develop that Brahma consciousness. And he says, the same yogi, he says, Jnana Vijnana Triptatma Kutastho Vijatendriya Yukta Ityuchyate Yogi Samaloshtashma Kanchana. He treats gold, stone or a pebble, everything as same. You can't lure him with a little more gold. Kabir Das was there. Somebody wanted to test his purity. So he came and offered a big diamond. And Kabir Das said, "What do I do with this?" He says, "I want to give to you, a great Gyani." So he tells his son, "Put it somewhere," and he tucks it in in the hut somewhere. And this rich man thinks, "I will test. Maybe he'll later go and sell it in the market and make money." So after a few days, he comes back and says, "I had given you a diamond. What happened to that?" He says, "What did you give me?" He said, "The diamond." "Oh, I didn't even know it was a diamond. Some stone you gave me." And then he asks his son, "Where is that thing?" And it is still tucked in there only. He never had desire to take it out and find out what it is and go and sell it in the market. Because they treat stone, gold, pebble, everything as same. When we reach that state, we have become yogi. That's what it means. When you don't differentiate between this is valuable, this is not valuable, everything you treat equally. Imagine the state of that mind. How free that mind must be, isn't it? It doesn't compare, doesn't feel bad or good about what they have, what they don't have. Everything is okay with them. So he says, such a person, Suhrad Mitra Ari Udasina. He is same to the friend and the enemy. And Krishna goes on to explain Madhyastha Dveshya Bandhushu. He is same to the person who hates him, who is his friend, and who is neutral also. See, Krishna covered that neutral ground also. Not only those who hate and love you, even those who neither hate nor love you, he is the same to them also. Sadhushvapi cha papeshu samabuddhi vishishyate. To the sinner and the saint, his buddhi is same. Sir Vivekananda was there in the court of a king. A lady dancer, not considered very highly placed in the society. Those kind of dancers, she was to present a dance. And Vivekananda felt humiliated that how can in front of a sannyasi you are making a girl like this dance. But she came with the devotion that I am able to present my talent in front of a great yogi like Vivekananda. And Vivekananda is thinking in his heart, how can this lady come and dance in front of me? After all, who I am? So this lady teaches a lesson to Vivekananda. You still differentiate between me as a body, mind and the spirit. You are not able to see the divine. What yogi are you? She teaches a lesson to Vivekananda. You think I am a girl from a lower strata of the society? It means you still, Samadarshina should be there. You should see me as equal. So also Buddha, when he lives one night in a prostitute's place. And everybody laughs and jeers at him. He says, you people differentiate. For me, she is also as pure as everybody else. Jesus, the Mary Magdalene, we know the story. Everybody was throwing stones at her. He protects her. Because they see the divine in all. So they are not differentiating between each other. Anyway, this is all the qualities that you will develop if you develop this Dhyana Yoga properly. But before Dhyana Yoga, you must do Karma Yoga. You know that, right? So Dhyana Yoga, how do you do? Some technical details he gives. Shuchau deshe pratisthapya sthiramanasa namatmanaha natyuchritam natinicham chailajina kushottaram. First shloka, the 11th shloka, it says, first you find a clean and a sacred place. You can't sit in the middle of the market and meditate naturally. Find a peaceful place, clean place, and settle down there. How? Put an asana. Sit in a proper position. Meditation is an art. You cannot just do it as you wish to do it. You have to find a proper, and how should the position be? It should be steady. It should not be shaky. You cannot do meditation in the middle of the ocean on a boat. It's very difficult. So I tell, body is like a vessel, mind is like the water. If body keeps shaking, mind keeps shaking too. So you need a steady place, clean place, and sacred place where the good vibrations are there. Then, nati uchritam. It should not be too high a place. Why? Because if you sleep off, you will tumble down and break a limb. Not like that. But it should be comfortable if you want to come out of the meditation and walk out. It should be easy. Nor it should be too low. Too low means some people dig pit and go inside and meditate. You won't believe, but once we had done an orphanage for somebody and we built one septic tank for that person. He never used the septic tank. He used to use that for meditation in the midnight. He used to think it's all covered and I'm safe. So it says neither you go too down nor you go up. You should find a proper steady place. How do you place? In the old time they will put kusha grass. Kusha is a type of grass that they will place first. On top of they'll put deer skin. On deer skin they'll put a clean cloth and then sit on it. This was the old time. Now you don't come and give excuse. Some students will tell, Swami, I didn't find kusha grass, I didn't find deer skin, therefore I can't meditate. No, that's the old time. Why? Because in those times they did not have these yoga mats and all those stuff. So kusha grass would temperature will be good. It protects, insulates you from the coldness of the floor. The deer skin has a property which repels snakes and insects. And then put a cloth on top of it. Then sit on it so that it's comfortable too. Patanjali Yoga Sutra says, asana means sthira sukhasanam. Sit in a proper way, in a comfortable way. In fact, when I met Narasimhamurthy, he asked me, what kind of asana should I sit on? Can I sit on the chair? I said, by all means. Make sure your spine is straight. That will come next. How should you sit if you sit on that thing? He says, Tatrai kagram manah kritva yat chittendriya kriyaha upavishyasane yujyat yoga matma vishuddhaye. You sit with concentrated mind. You sit in the meditation and you are thinking everywhere what's going on. That's not meditation. You should be able to concentrate better. And chitta and indriya, akriya, all the senses should not be engaged. You should be steady. See, senses means you can close your eyes, but your mind keeps seeing, no? You can close your ears, but you keep imagining sounds. So all that also has to be cut off during this meditation is what he says. And why should you do this? Because you should do it for your own purification, he says. See, when we sit for meditation, the Master the Mind series we saw, first level is collect all your thoughts, watch and all your thoughts, categorize them, discard those which are unwanted thoughts, retain only pure ones. Then take one thought on which you can meditate. You people took Aham Brahma, Sarvam Brahma, somebody took some other thought, and continuously think about it till it reveals its meaning. That is the idea. So he says you must do it for your purification of mind. And how you should sit? Samam kaya shiro grivam dharayanna chalas sthirah samprekshya nasikagram swam dishas chan avalokayan. He says you should be able to steady your body, your spine, neck and head. You should sit steady, straight, and in such a way that we have 7 chakras, if you want to find out. They are not real physical chakras. They are all energy chakras, they are energy points. So they all should be in one straight line. So your head has to be slightly tilted for the Brahmarandra to fall in line with all the chakras. Neck should be straight. Should not be too bent, not should be too behind. Spine should be straight, even if you're sitting on the chair. Sitting itself is an effort. Can you believe that? We think sitting is just sitting. No, sitting properly is an effort. Walking properly is an effort. Talking properly is an effort. So this effort has to be put while meditating. You have to sit straight with your head and neck straight, and you should not keep shaking and moving. You should steady yourself. Then you must meditate on the tip of your nose, it says. Tip of your nose. Your vision should be on the tip of your nose, and you should not see here and there. But if you tip off your nose, your eyes will start paining in a moment. Idea is that if you can do that, it helps you to focus in one place. If you can't, At least close your eyes and still meditate somewhere here or here. Tip of the nose or in the middle of the brow. One place. Or close your eyes and still think of the tip of your nose. Not the neighbor's nose. Your nose. Many people are interested in how the others are meditating in the class. Now they'll keep opening one eye and seeing whether others are meditating properly. If anybody is meditating more than me, if he becomes Brahmagyani before me, then they'll close their eyes and continue to meditate. Now I'm going to dispel some of these wrong ideas. But anyway, this is what you should do. Idea is that you have to hold your thought in one place. So if you go to Patanjali Yoga Sutra, there are 8 limbs of Patanjali. That also has been spoken of in Master of the Mind. But it simply says that start with Yama, Niyama, basic disciplines of life. Yama, external discipline. Niyama, internal discipline. Why you should start? Because without disciplining your mind, you cannot meditate. Then comes pranayama, control of breath, steady breathing. Then pratyahara. Pratyahara is the ability to disengage the mind from other senses and engage them in the meditative process. Both. Disengaging won't help. Engaging it back into a meditative process. Then dharana. What is dharana? Dharana, it says to steady your mind in one place, like on your tip of the nose. Or anything, on a God's photo, or on a thought like Aham Brahma, Sarvam Brahma. Anything, when you hold your thought in a particular place, or a particular object, or particular idea, that is called dharana. That is, in Patanjali Yoga Sutra, it defines as Desha Bandha Chittasya Dharana. To keep it in one place, steadily one thought. That is dharana. And what is dhyana then next stage, which is what we are talking about? He says when dharana automatically prolongs for a long time, it becomes dhyana. Like small nap turns into a deep sleep if you stay there in the maths class too long. That is the idea of dharana. You may start with a small nap anyway, small nap I will take, but you nap long enough, you will fall in deep sleep stage. So meditation is not something that we can do. It should happen to us. See, this is very crucial to understand. Everybody says, today I'm going to sit 20 minutes and meditate. You can't meditate. You can prepare yourself for meditation, concentrate your mind on one thought and wait for that meditation to happen, prolong itself. Like I tell, when we want to go to sleep, we don't go and tell, I'm going to sleep now. We simply go to bed, roll up our bed, put the bed sheet, switch off the lights, wash our feet, hand, everything, and cover ourselves and wait for the sleep to happen. Sleep, we cannot make sleep happen. We can't tell 10:10, I'm going to sleep today. Precisely at 10:10, you'll wake up and see the time it is 10:10, I have not slept yet. You can't put targets to sleep. Like that, you can't put targets for meditation. Don't go to these gurus and people who tell you in 20 minutes they'll show you God and 30 minutes you will be divine. No meditation happens like that. Meditation is a process that is naturally should happen. And our Patanjali describes very clearly, Tatra pratyaya ekatanata dhyanam. When you do dharana for too long, ekatanatam, you stretch it for too long, it becomes dhyana automatically. So meditation is something that happens to you. You can't do meditation. Don't even try. You can only do dharana. Dhyana should happen to you. If you hold the thought for too long, it only becomes dhyana. And after dhyana comes samadhi. Samadhi is the state when samadhi, your mind becomes steady, there's no more vagaries, and you lose your identity at that moment. You don't even know you're a man or a woman, boy or a girl, alive or dead. You are just there in that state. Do we experience this idea anytime when we don't know whether we are a man or a woman, boy or a girl, student or a teacher, dead or alive? Every day we experience this. Deep sleep we experience that, right? In deep sleep, do we know whether I'm alive or dead, whether I'm a man or a woman, whether I'm alive, a teacher or a student? We remember nothing in deep sleep. So samadhi is something like that. But here you are aware that you are in samadhi. In deep sleep, you are not aware. So there's no point in having deep sleep samadhis because there's no benefit out of it. You don't become better person. In fact, once a person argued with Vivekananda somewhere in US. That time this hippie culture was too strong. And he told, if I take these, things that give me a high, I also will experience the bliss of samadhi. Why should I struggle so hard? Then Vivekananda says, yes, when you take medications and attain that bliss, you come out of that experience as a rascal. Whereas when you do meditation and attain the bliss, you come out as a saint. This is the difference. Lot of young people want to experience this bliss of losing their body consciousness. But what they do, they use substances. I tell there is a better way. Do meditation. You can forget your problems there also. Try that. Instead of trying these medications and pills and all kinds of nonsense. It leaves you a worse person than what you were. So that is the idea, this meditation. And what meditation is defined again by Patanjali, Tadeva Arthamatra Nirbhasam Saswarupa Shunyam Iva Samadhihi. In that state, the meaning of whatever you are trying to meditate on will reveal itself. And without any name, forms, or any idea of any object in that. It's a thought that will reveal itself. It's very difficult for me to explain to you, but sometimes you can think like that. A teacher is explaining a maths equation for too long. You're listening to it, you're concentrating, but you're not getting it. You think about it when you go to room, you talk about it, you think about it during your dining hall session, during prayer session, you continuously think. Suddenly that answer comes to you, understand, this is what it meant. It happens, you try to observe that. It must have happened to many people. See, that intuitive revelation is the state of Samadhi. Without your effort, effortlessly it comes to you. So we experience Samadhi several times in a day, but we don't realize that it is Samadhi. For example, if you get a shocking news, you lose your sense of all moorings. You don't know it's day, night, man, woman. You just come to a state of total shock. That is also Samadhi only. Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Without your effort, you get into that. Why? Out of a shock. Or suppose you are driving a car. Suddenly one truck comes in front. In that moment, you don't know what you are doing. Whether your leg went to the brake, what you did, you pressed the horn. Everything happens suddenly without your realization. That moment is Samadhi actually. But as a Nirvikalpa Samadhi. We are talking about Savikalpa Samadhi also, where you can put efforts and reach that state. But the best of the Samadhis is Sahaja Samadhi. When you don't have to close your eyes to go into Samadhi, or you don't want a dog to run across your car, or you don't want your teacher to give you a maths test all of a sudden. Those Samadhis are no Samadhis. That's why beautiful story in Tripura Rahasya when Hema Chuda and Hema Lekha are there. Hema Lekha teaches this meditation to Hema Chuda, her husband, who is quite worldly. And he experienced the bliss of Samadhi by putting some effort. And then Hema Lekha says, Hema Lekha, please don't come near me. I want to go back to that state of bliss. Then Hema Lekha catches his hand and says, what use is of that bliss which comes with the opening and closing of these eyelids? You should always be in that state of bliss. That is true Samadhi. You should always be absorbed. Your mind should be absorbed in God while you act in the world. That is true Samadhi. That is Sahaja Samadhi. So Dhyana Yoga is all about meditating on one idea and holding it so long that it automatically becomes a part of your natural experience. If there is effort in meditation, it's not meditation. If meditation is effortless. Dharana is effort. To hold on to one thought is an effort. Dhyana is effortless. And Samadhi, you don't even know whether you have slipped into Samadhi. But there is a small calculation. Try it out when you can. I was telling these people, 9 seconds to 11 seconds if you hold one thought, that is dharana. 9 times these 9 dharanas, dharana is dhyana, means 9 into 9 seconds, that is 181 seconds. And then multiplied by another 9 times is samadhi. It means if dhyana continues for so long, like 12 and a half minutes, it becomes samadhi. Imagine we are not able to hold anything in our mind for 12 continuous minutes. And if it breaks, you have to start from zero. You don't say, no, I added 9 seconds before and plus another 20 seconds. Doesn't work. You go back to zero again. It's a continuous process. Imagine 9 seconds you hold your thought on one thing. Try it out. Start with gulab jamun or jalebi or something that is cooking in the kitchen. I'm sure you can hold. Now hold it for 9 times of that, that is dhyana. And another 9 times of it is samadhi. So if you go to 9 to 11 seconds range, samadhi is like 12 and a half minutes you have been continuously in the same thought. It reveals itself. Or 11 minutes if you take 22 minutes. But imagine our plight. In our whole lifespan of 100 years, we have not found those 22 minutes. We have not found those 12 minutes where we can keep our mind steady continuously. So what a plight of human life. So you have to, and this doesn't come in one birth. It takes many births. But again, it's a very, Krishna will tell, it doesn't matter if you don't get it this birth, we'll try it again and again. But keep putting efforts, he says. So once you attain the samadhi, what happens? He says, when you attain that samadhi, you are able to attain a kind of shanti, a peace, which you never can find anywhere else. So that is the idea of samadhi. Shantim nirvana paramam. It is after the nirvana, the shanti, the peace that comes, it is so beautiful. For that sake, people want to attain that samadhi, the ananda that comes from there. So he says that how do you attain that? Looks difficult. He says start with simple basic sticks. Don't eat too much, nor eat too less, he says. He says, na ati ashnatahastu yogo asti na cha ekantam anashnataha. You have to eat in limit, not too much, not too less. Then he says, na cha ati swapnashilasya jagrato naiva charjuna. Nor by sleeping too much or staying wide awake whole night trying to meditate, you will not become a yogi. So Krishna is such a nice, convenient teacher. You see, he is not telling you to do all that which many people do. Hang upside down the tree, stand on one leg, do some vrikshasana, or do all kinds of hatabandhas and things like that. Krishna is telling, don't do all that. In fact, you eat what you got to eat, but eat in limits. Sleep in limit, rest in limit. Limit is most important. This middle path of Buddha, what he says, that's most important in life. And he very beautiful shloka, he says, Yukta ahara viharasya, yukta cheshtasya karmasu, yukta swapnavabodhasya yogo bhavati dukkaha. Everything in limits, yukta, correct proportions. What? Ahara vihara, what you eat, where you go, everything should be within limits. Then cheshtasya karmasu, whatever actions you undertake, whatever desires you have, everything should be within the limits of dharma. Then yukta swapnavabodhasya, sleep in limit, be awake in limit. It means when I say 9:15 lights off, limit it. There is a limit set. 4:30 lights on, limit set. Study in this time, eat in this time, play in this time, rest in this time. All limits. This system itself makes you a yogi in a small way. By putting limits to everything, and doesn't allow you to sleep longer than you deserve, doesn't allow you to rest longer than you need, doesn't allow you to eat more than you want, doesn't allow you to eat less also. Someone will be after you. Why you're eating less also, there will be somebody. Nor it allows you to play too long, nor it allows you to study too long. It keeps limits on everything. That is the first step, Krishna says, to develop a mind which can develop dhyana. Isn't it nice that we are living in a system which automatically puts all these checks and balances? Left to our own, how many of us will put limits on ourselves? Very difficult. Outside, people are living reckless lives because they have nobody to tell them what to do, what not to do, and they go by as they like. You can't live as you like and then you become a yogi. That doesn't happen. Bhogi rogis are possible. Yogi requires tyaga. First tyagi, then yogi. So you should give up all these pleasures. I will skip a few shloka, but it says how the mind of the meditator is like a flame which doesn't move when there is no wind. When a candle is there, flame is there, but no wind is there, it remains steady. It doesn't move even this bit. The mind of the yogi is that steady. Krishna says, Yatha deepo nivatasto nengate sopamasprita yogino yat chittasya yunjato yogamatmanaha. By his yoga, he studies his mind that clear. Try keeping your mind for 9 seconds on anything. Try. It won't stay. 8 seconds it will go and then it will go away. So difficult. So the yogi practices this. And he says, why he does that? Because yam labdhva chaparam labham manyate nadikam tataha yasmin sito na dukkhina guru napi vichalyate. The 22nd shloka says, because once he attains that, he is not affected by even biggest of the problems. They remain in that state of calmness only. They are not affected. Like Meera was not affected. She was in that state of calmness only. Whatever happened, she accepted it as a part of life and carried on. She never got affected by anything. Always lost in the Krishna consciousness. Radha did not get affected. Gopikas did not get affected. Prahalada, mind absorbed in Narayana. Father is throwing him from the mountain. Father is getting bitten by snakes, trying to burn him in fire. No effect. He is always steady. Not even cursing his father. See, that is the right amount of the yoga practice that they say. And why? Because biggest of the problems also we can deal with it very easily. See, this is why yogi you have to be, because life will throw problems at you. Every day cannot be smooth. When the problems comes, can you handle them? That ability to handle the problems, this yoga gives. The steadiness of mind gives. It doesn't get affected. That's why I say, check your spirituality by checking your mindometer. What is mindometer? How quickly your mind comes back to the zero. How much it fluctuates. The more it fluctuates, the less spiritual you are. The less it fluctuates, the more spiritual you are. If it doesn't fluctuate and stay steady, you have attained the yoga. That is the idea of this chapter. 25th shloka says, Shanai Shanai uparmed buddhya dhruti grahitaya. Don't try this that in these 20 minutes I'll become yogi. Do what you want. Shanai Shanai. Slowly you practice this. Don't get dejected and disappointed. I was telling, for getting a degree from a college, you are ready to study for 15 years. But to attain this yoga, you want to do 15 minutes meditation and attain it. How is it possible? Is it so cheap? The spirituality is so cheap? No. So you have to make it a habit and practice for a long time. And how slowly, slowly. First day mind will run here and there. Allow it. Second day again try. Third day again try. And keep trying to bring back your mind again to one thought. You have kept a photo in front of you, your favorite God. You want to meditate on that God, its form, its name, its qualities. But mind goes thinking about exams, thinking about parents. Try to bring back on that God. Like Ganesha is there. I'm meditating Ganesha. But again and again mind goes. Bring it back. Slowly you do it. Don't rush. Don't hurry it up because you will not be able to attain this. Yato yato nischalati mana manaschalam astiram tatas niyamyait tadatmanyeva vasham nayet. As and when the mind runs, bring it back. Again it goes, again bring it back. This process you have to do any number of times. Have you seen how you started riding bicycle or driving a car? Every time you lose the control, the car's tires will go here, bicycle will go somewhere. Again and again you have to turn the handle, turn the steering and put it on the straight path. This practice is a practice of Dhyana Yoga. I am going to skip most of it again. And he says in 29 shlokas, Sarva bhutastam atmanam sarva bhutani chatmani ikshate yoga yuktatma sarvatra samadarshanaha. He sees me in all and all in me, Krishna is saying. It doesn't mean he sees Krishna in everybody. He sees the Atman, the divine in all and everything as divine. Isha vasyamidam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat. He sees everyone as divine only. Shunishcha shapakecha pandita samadarshinaha. Same idea. Sarvatra samadarshanaha. He sees the same divinity in all. That yogi, he attains that state after having practiced enough. And he says, Yo mam pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha mai pashyati tasyaham na pranashyami sachamena pranashyati. The one who sees me everywhere and everything in me, to such a person I am never lost. And to me such a person is not lost. It means what? He is always engaged or he is completely absorbed in divinity that not for a moment he forgets who that person is. He always remembers I am divine. Can you forget even for a moment that you are a woman or a man? Once you are born a man or a woman? No. Can you ever forget that you are alive? No, because you know you are alive by being alive. You know that you are a woman by being a woman. Like that, this person knows that he is divine by being divine. So that divinity is never lost to this person, nor this person is lost to divinity. Like womanhood cannot be lost to a woman. Or similarly, woman cannot be lost to womanhood. Both are intertwined. The person who's alive, life cannot be lost to a person who's alive. Or a person who's alive cannot be away from life. So by being God, you know God. That is the idea. Such a person attains that state. Sarvatha vartamanopi sayogi mai vartate. Whatever actions he does, he is doing it as me. For me. That's why working for Sai over. Working with Sai was the first phase. Working for Sai also is over. Working as the Sai is this phase. You should become God if you want to work for God. Nothing less will work. So this is the idea. You have to practice all these things. As usual, Arjuna has doubt. After listening to all these, I'm sure you also have doubt. Are these all things possible at all? You tell big things. Are these doable at all? Same doubt Arjuna has. Arjuna says, Yoyam yogas tvaya prokta samyena Madhusudana, literally Madhusudana, etas yaham na pashyami chanchalatva sthitim siram. He says, all that you're talking, Krishna, sounds good. Very nice. You become a yogi, you meditate, your mind should be like the flame, does not flicker. You will attain ananda, your sukha is amazing, you can deal with life and you can see me everywhere. All nice. But, etas yaham na pashyami chanchalatva sthitim siram. I don't see how I will be able to practice this. Arjuna is very frank. I don't think this is my cup of tea. It's impractical to me. It cannot be done by me. That is what Arjuna is. Poor fellow is telling what he is saying because he says, my mind is so restless. I can't bring it to this kind of state which you are talking. He says, Chanchalam hi manah Krishna pramati bralvadranam tasyaham nigraham manye vayuriva sudushkaram. Oh Krishna, controlling this mind is very difficult for me. It will be easier to control the wind than controlling my mind, Arjuna is telling to the teacher. But how sweet Krishna is. When a child goes to a teacher and says, Sir, maths too tough, sir, I can't understand. First reaction of the teacher should be, Hey, dadda, ninge enu artha agala. No, that is not a good reaction. What is a good reaction? I know maths is very difficult subject. I understand how difficult it is. But let us sit down and see how we can work it out. That's a good teacher. How does Krishna say? Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Asamshayam Mahabaho No doubt, mind is so difficult to conquer. Mano durnigraham chalam. It is very difficult to control this unstable mind. I understand maths is very difficult. Athva bere subject. I know it's difficult. So the student is happy. Arjuna says, thank God Krishna thinks that mind is actually difficult. So it's not my mind alone. Everybody's mind is difficult. I am happy. Krishna says, Asamshaya Mahabhavo, question paper was tough. No doubt. That's why you got less marks. But abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grihate. But there is a trick to control this mind. Practice abhyasa. Remember, as then when it deviates, bring it back to the original state. So abhyasa, keep practicing. You have done practice for everything. When you were born, you did not start walking the moment you were born. You practiced walking. You fell 100 times. Sometimes you thought you can't walk. But you learned walking. You learned bicycling. You learned swimming. You learned singing. You learned talking, walking, eating, dressing, studying, reading, writing, playing. All this you learned by practice. Nothing came to you just by you were born. Only thing that came to you when you were born was your breathing, which God put inside. Everything else you had to learn. Then when you have learned so many things, why can't you learn controlling the mind? Is Krishna's logic. Abhyasena tu kaunteya. Put effort, practice. When do you practice? When you are interested in it. If you're not interested in it, you will not practice. Why should you be interested in Adhyatma? Because this is what ultimately gives you true peace and happiness. You must know its value. Then only you will practice. So practice vairagyena chagate and detach yourself from wrong ideas. Two things. Practice to attach to good ideas. Detach yourself from wrong ideas. Tyaja durjana sansargam, bhaja sadhu samagamam. Simultaneously you must do. That's how you can control. More thoughts you put into mind, especially negative thoughts, more the mind gets disturbed. Positive thoughts calm the mind at least. Negative thoughts frustrate and make it restless. Especially in teenage, the thoughts are so difficult. You have to be all the more careful not to engage with such thoughts, such actions, such ideas, such visuals, such things to hear. You must cut off from all that. Otherwise your mind will trouble you. And he says, Asamyatmana yogo dushpapya iti me mati. The one who cannot control this mind, that person will find it difficult to do this meditation and reach the yoga. But the one who is able to control it will be able to find it easy. So you have to practice controlling the mind. Where does it begin? Put limits on everything that you do. That's where it begins. Don't do anything in excess. Then he says, Arjuna is not done. He asks Krishna, okay, fine, all this is okay, I understand. Ayatihi shraddha yopeto yogan chalita manasaha aprapya yoga sansiddhim kam gatim Krishna gacchati. He says, okay, all this is fine, but what happens to those yogis who don't have enough shraddha? See, Krishna is telling, if you have interest only, you will do all these efforts. So he says, what if the yogi does not have enough interest and goes halfway and collapses? He says, aprapya yoga sansiddhim kam gatim Krishna. What happens to such a person who does not really put that kind of effort and realize the self? What happens to that person? And he continues to say, Kachin ubhaya vibhrashtaha chinna brahmiva nashyati. Little difficult Sanskrit. It says, what happens to that person who has lost this world and that world also? He got stuck in the yogi world. Now neither is a bogi nor is a yogi. He is between somewhere, Trishanku. Like a cloud that breaks and does not rain, nor it remains a cloud. Because of the wind, it is destroyed. What happens to such a yogi who is not able to attain the higher, nor he is able to remain in the lower? What happens to such a yogi? Apratishto mahabahu vimodo brahmana patihi. The one who is not established in yoga, what happens? What is his way in life? Where does he land at the end? That is his worry, because I may put effort, I may not become yogi now. So what happens to me? So he says, Krishna very beautifully says, and he continues, Arjuna says, Etanme samshyam Krishna chetur marhasya sheshata twadanya sanshayasya asya cheta na hyupapadyate. You alone can clear this doubt, Krishna. Nobody knows this subject better than you. So you only tell me. Same Nachiketa says, no, na nare ravarena prokta. Other people speak, we cannot understand. You know the subject better. Krishna, you only should clear this doubt. What happens to the yogi who has not attained the highest? And then Krishna says, very compassionately, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, Partha naiveha namutra vinashastasya vidyate nahi kalyanakrit kaschit durgatim tata gacchati. The one who has put efforts will never be lost to this world or the next. Like you are saying, you will get stuck, you lose this world, that world, both. No. It never happens to such a person who has sincerely put effort on the spiritual path. Kalyanakrit kaschit durgatim na tata gacchati. The one who has done good work in this world, spiritual effort, he will never meet with a bad fate. That I assure you, he says. Same thing, remember? Salpamapyasya dharmasya, neha bikramanashosti, pratyavayo. There is never an adverse effect to this. This effort is never lost. It will always add up, accrue. And you will always benefit from it, if not today, someday. So, Kurupunya Mahoratram, keep doing good. Keep putting efforts, Krishna is saying. That someday you will attain it and no efforts will be wasted. What an assurance. And then he says, Prapya punya kritam lokanushitva shashvatiha samaha shuchinam shrimatam gehe yoga brashto bijayate. Those who become yoga brashtas on this path, they have lost their way. They could not attain the highest. What happens to them? He says, after having attained all the punya that they have done, they go to a swarga loka or a higher loka and stay there for some time. And again, they are born in the right kind of families. See, Shuchinam Srimatam Gehe, Yoga Brashta Abhijayate. They are born again in the right kind of family so that they can continue their path from there. When so many children are born in ashram, I keep telling, oh, these are all yogis, rishis, they are coming back. And many of the children, they pick up spiritual concepts like this, like fish to water. That is because they have done this punyam in the previous janma, but they have not achieved the ultimate. Some desire, something was still pending because of which they are reborn. But when they are born, they are already equipped with enough knowledge of the past without them realizing. So they learn these concepts like this. Whereas many elders, difficult. So I tell, don't judge people like book by the cover. Don't judge people by their bodies. Their souls are ancient. Their minds are ancient. So this is what Krishna is saying. If you have done good work, your punya will accumulate. You will born in the right kind of family where you can continue to do good as you had started in your previous lives. He says, that is for the yoga bhrashta who have lost their way. What about the true yogis who are attained the yoga or just short of attaining yoga? He says, Athva yoginameva kule bhavati dhimatam etadhi durlabhataram loke janma yadidrisham. He says, otherwise, those who have transcended this by practice of yoga for a long time, they also take birth with great wisdom in certain families which will help them. For example, Shankaracharya was born. He was an 8-year-old boy, but what amount of knowledge? By 12, 13 years, he had remembered all the Vedas and scriptures. By 16 years, he had written most of the Bhashyams. Where did this knowledge come from? Because he was a yogi previously or he was already Purvajanma Kritam, samskaras are there. That has helped him to continue the journey. So don't you get deluded by young people with great wisdom. They might be coming, their bodies are new, but their souls are old. That you should never forget. This is what I was telling when Narayan Bhatt passed away and wanted this mission to continue. I was telling in Kodaikanal, this mission is a continuation of the effort that began in Narayan Bhatt's time. This is not a new thing. This is a continuation. In fact, this mission is the fulfillment of dreams of so many people. I said Brahma Jnana is the vision of all the saints and sages born on this earth. But they could not achieve it. They are trying to achieve it through this mission, through you and me. So this mission is fulfilling dreams of so many yogis who could not fulfill it in their lifetimes. This is an amazing mission. Final few shlokas, he says, Tatra tam buddhi sanyogam labate parva dehikam yatate cha tato bhuya samsiddhau kurunandanaha. He says, this kind of people who are born with previous punyas in a new body, their old divine consciousness which is already there suddenly comes awake. When they meet the right kind of people, right situations, they are awakened. So he says that yatate cha tato bhuya samsiddhau kurunandana. So further progress is made by further efforts in this birth. But they are born with this idea already. They get attracted to bhajans, Vedas, or any other stotrams because they have all heard this and practiced this in the past. How beautiful. And he says, Purvabhyasena tenaiva hriyate hyavashopi saha. He says, because of their past practices, without their knowledge, without their control, they are attracted to these good things. And he says, Karmibhyaschadiko yogi tasmad yogi bhava Arjuna. Therefore he says, Arjuna, in all circumstances, even if you fail miserably, it's okay. Still try to be a yogi. Try to meditate, try to concentrate, try to study your mind, try to detach it from all the other worldly things. Even if you fail, doesn't matter because it will accrue and it will give you another birth in another place, in another family, another situation where you can continue your journey and attain that yoga sansiddha. You can attain that perfection. This is, Krishna says, yoginam api sarvesham madgatenantaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yukta tamomataha. He says, this person who with great faith and shraddha abides in me through this yoga and remembers me all the time, such a person is yukta. Such a person is a perfected being. There is nothing more to attain for that person. So try to be like that. And he clearly defines at the end that for all the things that you do, to me, tapasvibhyo adhiko yogi jnanibhyopi mato adhikah karmibhyascha adhiko yogi tasmat yogi bhava Arjuna. He says, more than a tapasvi who does penance in the Himalayas, or more than the jnani who keeps reading scriptures, jnani means that kind of who collects knowledge, or the one who keeps doing actions with attachments, yogi is a better life. Even if you fail, it's okay. Continue to try to steady your mind, detach it, make yourself pure, and attain that wisdom through yoga. So please do that, is what Krishna is telling. So therefore keep doing that. Aneka janma sansiddhastatau yati param gati. After many births of efforts, we attain this. So don't give up just because you didn't attain in this 1 year or 10 years. Continue to put effort. And he says, fine, that is what he says. Those who think of me and pray to me and believe in me, they become the yogis. They are redeemed. They are free forever. And this ananda and the bliss and the freedom that they experience is something that you have to know to believe. Like how much ever I describe about gulab jamun, I cannot make you experience its taste unless you put it in your mouth and eat it, right? That is the idea of this Bhagavad Gita. I can tell about it in many ways. Unless you put a little effort and practice, you won't get it. So as I said, it's better to fail on this path than not to walk. Better to fall, but not to stop. Keep walking. Uttishtata, jagrata, prapya varan nibodhata, shurasya dhara. Definitely difficult. Nishita duratyaya durgam patastat kavyo vadante. People have told it's a difficult path because paranchi khani vatrin swayambhu. We know all the senses are created as outgoing things. Turning them inward is a task. Not everybody can do it. But who can do it? Abhyasena tu yoga, vairagyena cha grihate. Abhyasa yoga you do. Practice, practice, practice. 3 rules to success. Practice, practice, practice. Then you become successful. Keep yourself under control in limits and checks. Don't do as your senses drag you to do. Control them and put them in order. You see? That is how you must lead your life. That is the first step of being a yogi. Then slowly meditation and all these things will come. Spend some time every day to keep your mind focused and meditate. Till a day when you reach Sahaja Samadhi, where walking, talking, moving, ashtanas, whatever you're doing, your mind is always on God. Next is Jnana Vijnana Yoga, also another beautiful chapter, very good concepts. Hopefully very soon we'll be able to talk about it.